Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihar Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihar Hari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanacham Hari Yamunatira Vanacham Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihar Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihar Hari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanacham Hari Yamunatira Vanacham Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihar Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihar Hari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Yashodanandana Brajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanacham Hari Yamunatira Vanacham Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiham Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiham Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari Radha Kunja Bihari Radhe Jaya Radha Raspi Hari Radha Raspi Hari Radhe Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Radha Ramana Radha Ramana Radhe Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Radha Gopinata Radha Gopinata Radhe Jaya Radha Sham Sundar Radha Sham Sundar Radhe Jaya Radhe Sham Radhe Sham Radhe Sham Jaya Radhe Sham Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Vishupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Satta Shishamachila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Jaya Vishupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Satta Shishamachila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki. Ananta Kode Vaishnavarinda ki. Sirup Si Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Jiv Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sari Goswami Prabhu ki. प्रेम से को श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवजरि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपाल गोपी गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मथुरा धाम की मैपुर धाम की जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की तुलसी महारानी भक्ति देवी की गंगा यमुना देवी की हरि नाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की श्री श्री गौनिताई की श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की श्री श्री राधा श्याम सुंदर की गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल सामवेद भक्त वृंद की all glories to the Assemblies, all glories to the Assemblies, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Reading from the Bhagavad Gita as it is, 17th chapter, text number 11. Aphala-ākāṅkṣibhiḥ yajño vidhi-diṣṭo ijyate yaṣṭavyam eveti manaḥ samādhāya sāttvikaḥ aphala-ākāṅkṣibhiḥ yajño vidhi-diṣṭo ijyate yaṣṭavyam eveti manaḥ samādhāya sāttvikaḥ aphala-ākāṅkṣibhiḥ yajño vidhi-diṣṭo ijyate yaṣṭavyam eveti manaḥ samādhāya sāttvikaḥ aphala-ākāṅkṣibhiḥ yajño vidhi-diṣṭo ijyate yaṣṭavyam eveti manaḥ samādhāya sāttvikaḥ aphala-ākāṅkṣibhiḥ yajño vidhi-diṣṭo ijyate yaṣṭavyam eveti manaḥ samādhāya sāttvikaḥ aphala-ākāṅkṣibhiḥ yajño vidhi-diṣṭo ca ijyate yaṣṭavyam eveti manaḥ samādhāya sāttvikaḥ. Mataji's aphala-ākāṅkṣibhiḥ yajño vidhi-diṣṭo ijyate yaṣṭavyam eveti manaḥ samādhāya sāttvikaḥ. aphala-ākāṅkṣibhiḥ, by those devoid of desire for result. Yajña, sacrifice. Vidhi-diṣṭaḥ, according to the direction of the scripture. Which ijyate is performed. Yaṣṭavyam must be performed. Eva, certainly. Iti, thus. Manaḥ, mind. Samādhāya, fixing. It. Sāttvikaḥ, in the mode of goodness. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada key. Of sacrifices, the sacrifice performed according to the directions of the scripture as a matter of duty by those who desire no reward is of the nature of goodness. Purport. The general tendency is to offer sacrifice with some purpose in mind. But here it is stated that sacrifice should be performed without any such desire. It should be done as a matter of duty. Take, for example, the performance of rituals in temples or in churches. Generally, they are performed with the purpose of material benefit. But that is not in the mode of goodness. One should go to a temple or church as a matter of duty, offer respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offer flowers and eatables without any purpose of obtaining material benefit. Everyone thinks that there is no use in going to the temple just to worship God. But worship for economic benefit is not recommended in the scriptural injunctions. One should go simply to offer respect to the Deity. That will place one in the mode of goodness. It is the duty of every civilized man to obey the injunctions of the scriptures and offer respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksuran Militam Yanam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sanyam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutabadagamalan Sri Guran Vaisnavamscha Sirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadutam Parijana Chaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakadvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastade Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshare Brajabano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare aphala-ākāṅkṣibhiḥ yajño vidhi-diṣṭo ijyate yaṣṭavyam eveti manaḥ samādhāya sāttvikaḥ. Of sacrifices, a sacrifice performed according to the directions of scripture as a matter of duty by those who desire no reward is of the nature of goodness. Here in this chapter, Krishna is explaining to Arjuna about the different persons and the different modes of material nature. And those in the mode of goodness, their faith and the Supreme Lord is strong. And they are serving or they are offering worship to Krishna without expecting anything in return. And that is actually the proper way to act as a practicing devotee. That is how one can advance in one's spiritual life. And one can ultimately come to the transcendental stage, to the spiritual platform. And then one can realize one's transcendental nature and one's relationship with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then those in the mode of passion are there and they will do some sacrifice or any activity and they want something in return. So, those in the mode of ignorance, they do not know what to do and what not to do. And they're not acting according to the scriptures, and even many times opposite the scriptures. And so they actually not able to advance in spiritual life. In order to advance in spiritual life, one has to come to the mode of goodness. One has to be acting according to the scriptures. So as mentioned here, vidhi-diṣṭaḥ, vidhi, according to vidhi of the scriptures, the rules and regulations of the scriptures. So Srila Prabhupada is also emphasizing in the purport that if one is performing any activity, it should be for the pleasure of the Lord. And it should be done as a matter of duty. It has to be done. So one may go to the temple or one may go to the church. It is one's duty in order to be able to advance in spiritual life, in order to be properly situated. Although the conditioned soul, so he is usually not so much inclined towards spiritual activities. But if one is then intelligent, one will understand. By the mercy of the Lord, by the mercy of the devotees, and as mentioned in the scriptures, that one has to act for the pleasure of the Lord ultimately. One has to try to make advancement in spiritual life. That is the prime duty of every embodied human being. So by nature we are soul, spirit soul, and we have nothing to do with this material world. By nature we are the eternal servants of Krishna. But being in the material world, being under the most material nature, then the conditioned soul has forgotten. So they are known as badajiv, conditioned souls. Whereas the associates of the Lord, they are known as nityasiddha. They are eternally perfect. They always engage in the devotional service of the Lord. And they usually will not fall to this material world. They will, when they come to this material world that is under the direction of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, or they may come with Krishna. When Krishna performs his pastimes, then the eternal associates are also coming. And sometimes Krishna is sending his eternal associates to this world also. He himself is coming once in the day of Lord Brahma and is there in every universe. Similarly, because Krishna actually wants the conditioned souls to be engaged, not by force, but by free will in the service of the Lord. Because that is the constitutional position of the living entity, that is to serve Krishna. So Krishna is kindly, Krishna is mercifully, Krishna is gently trying to help the conditioned souls. Himself, and also through the super soul situated in the heart, and also through his devotees, he's trying to tell the conditioned souls in the human form of life that they should try to engage in spiritual activities, that they should try to understand that actually they have a relationship with Krishna, that actually they belong to the spiritual world, they don't belong to this material world. So by good fortune one comes in contact with the representative of the Lord. And then one can advance in spiritual life and one can even attain perfection in understanding one's actual identity as the eternal servant of Krishna. So in this chapter, Krishna is very clearly explaining about the three modes of material nature and about the different persons in the different modes of material nature. So Krishna spoke to Arjuna for our benefit, so we have to try to take this to heart, and we have to try to imbibe, and we have to try to be properly situated in the mode of goodness. And then we should try to be fully engaged with body, mind and words in the service of the Lord. So in order to be transcendently situated, one has to be firmly fixed in the mode of goodness. So in regards to one's activities, in regards to one's consciousness, in regards to one's behavior, or one's also talking. So that should be in the mode of goodness always. And the environment has to be in the mode of goodness, where we are staying. And as in regards to the sacrifices, so different kinds of sacrifices are there. So first of all, here, basically yajña, so that usually means fire sacrifice, which is performed at different times by different persons, but especially the householders, they are supposed to follow the different purificatory rites known as samskars, to purify themselves, to purify their family and their relatives. So these different purificatory rites are there. And in there's a fire sacrifice. And of course the fire sacrifice is not just lighting a fire and putting some ghee inside and some wood, but it's a certain process. One has to chant mantras for purification, to be properly situated on the spiritual platform. And then one will worship one's spiritual master and then one's yajño, one's worshipable Lord, in our case Mahaprabhu and Krishna. And then one will worship the fire god also as a servant of the Lord. And then one will offer oblations into the fire. That is known as a yajña. So that should be done according to the scriptures, according to injunctions of the spiritual master. For the pleasure of the Lord. And then, as mentioned, he ultimately not desiring anything in reward, in return. But as Prabhupada is expressing also here in the purport, that is actually very difficult to simply act for the pleasure of the Lord and not expect anything in return. So the acharyas have also explained in the scriptures about this point. So the Rupa Goswami has explained Nectar of Devotion, Anyabhilashita Shonyam Jnana Karma Naviritam Anukulina Krishna Nushilanam Bhakti Uttamam. What is Uttam Bhakti? What is pure devotional service? So one is doing everything anukulyena, in a favorable way, in proper consciousness, Krishna Nushilanam, as Krishna desires. And then, so, Anyabhilashita Shonyam, with having no separate interest. Jnana karma navritam, so not covered by the fruitive result or mentality that I'm doing something, I should get something in return. Or even the jnanis, I'm getting knowledge in order to be well situated, in order to be recognized also. So many desires may be there in that sense also. But no, we should do everything for the pleasure of the Lord. And for example, knowledge we have to inquire, we have to acquire, so to properly understand how to do things and in which mood to do, that has to be there. For the pleasure of the Lord. But for example, if one is a householder, someone is working, but then one should also, of course, one will expect something if one is working, because one will have to maintain one's family. That is natural. So nobody will work for free. And then how they will maintain themselves. So similarly, so if one is worshipping the Lord, so one will expect that by worshipping the Lord, so I should be maintained ultimately by the Lord. But one will not directly ask Krishna, for example, my dear Lord Krishna, I'm serving you, I'm giving you something, now please give me something in return. No. But simply for Krishna's pleasure. But then because Krishna is very merciful and Krishna actually has so much care for us, He loves us so much and He wants us to come back to Him in the spiritual world. And He wants us to advance in spiritual life. And He wants us to be peaceful in this world as much as possible. And so therefore the devotee knows, I don't really have to ask Krishna for anything. Because Krishna knows what I need, even better than I know, Krishna knows what I need. For my spiritual advancement, even for living in this world. Krishna knows, just like a father and mother, they know what the child needs better than the child. So the child, he wants to play, the child wants to get some toys, and the child many times he doesn't know what he has to eat and when he should eat, how much he should eat. But then the parents are there and they are caring and they are providing whatever the child needs and explaining to him also what to do and what not to do. So similarly, Krishna also. So he's trying to help us from within the heart and trying to guide us from within the heart. But in the conditioned state, it is difficult to understand for the conditioned soul what Krishna wants to say. But then he's manifested as the spiritual master or as an advanced devotee, and then he will guide us. He will help us so that we are properly situated in spiritual life, so that we can advance more, also that we can be properly situated in this world. And so we have whatever we need to keep body and soul together. And Krishna himself in the 9th chapter he has explained, Ananyashintan tomam yajanapaya pasate tesam nityavayuktanam yoga kshemam vahamyaham. To those who are constantly devoted to me. And to them, I give what they lack and I preserve what they have. So Krishna is always trying to help, is reciprocating. So more than actually we can actually repay him, or more than we can do for him, he's doing for us. We are totally insignificant and actually helpless in conditioned state. But even the pure devotees, they are completely dependent on Krishna. And they understand their insignificant position and nature. So they are naturally dependent on Krishna, and they are naturally serving Krishna. And they will try to also then help others. But even those who are not so advanced, they are always helped by Krishna. So, but then those who are not advanced, so they have to try to understand this clearly. And they have to try to endeavor to be situated properly, to be situated in the mode of goodness. And then from the mode of goodness we can come to the spiritual platform, to the transcendental platform. And that is the proper situation for the jiva, for us, for the servants of Krishna. So fal, so the fruit is there. Ākāṅkṣibhiḥ, so the devotee who is properly situated is not expecting to get some result. He's simply doing everything for Krishna's satisfaction. But then whatever he needs, Krishna will give. So that is in the mode of goodness, that is the proper situation. And so therefore the devotee, so he can be carefree. He doesn't have to be in anxiety. Krishna will always protect. Even Krishna in the 2nd chapter already is explaining that those who are so engaged in my service, so those who are endeavoring in the spiritual path, they don't have to worry for anything, and Krishna will always protect them. And at the end of the Bhagavad Gita also, Sarva dharmam parijyajya mamekam saranam vaja aham tam sarvamabhevyo moksheshami masuchaha. He's telling Arjuna, do not fear. You simply surrender to me. And then I will reciprocate. Actually beyond our expectations. If we simply try to surrender to Krishna. So actually in the conditioned state we cannot completely surrender, but we should try to surrender to Krishna, and then Krishna will reciprocate beyond our expectations. So always according to the injunctions of the scriptures, and the scriptures are manifested by the will of the Lord. The Veda, the Vedic literatures, are not different from the Lord. The Śrīmad Bhagavatam is not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Bhagavad Gita, the words of Krishna. And so by hearing from the spiritual master, from the devotees, from the scriptures, then we are properly situated. But so usually we should hear the scriptures in the association of the devotees, especially those who are highly advanced. Because sometimes in the scriptures, it may not be exactly clear what is meant, or what to do or what not to do. Sometimes there seems to be a contradiction. But then in the scriptures, even Krishna himself is clarifying to Arjuna what to do and what not to do. And then therefore it is explained by Krishna himself or the acharyas that we have to take shelter of the spiritual master, who will explain everything for our benefit. Make it very clear, as Prabhupada is giving in the purports. Bhagavad Gita as it is, he has presented. So the words are there in Sanskrit, spoken by Krishna or Arjuna, asking, clarifying. So, but we have to hear from the spiritual master so that we can properly understand what Krishna wants us to do. Actually, there are so many editions of the Bhagavad Gita in this world. And since practically almost, of course, since Krishna's time, but then especially nowadays, or even 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, there are so many editions of the Bhagavad Gita. So many persons they have translated from the Sanskrit in various languages, and then also sometimes given some commentary. But unless one is a pure devotee, one cannot properly understand, and one cannot properly present it. So, but then here is Prabhupada, so he has presented the Bhagavad Gita as it is, explained what actually Krishna wanted Arjuna to understand, wanted us to understand. So by Prabhupada's mercy, we have the Bhagavad Gita as it is. And then also Prabhupada has given further explanations for our benefit. So we may be very well aware exactly what should be the mood and how exactly we should perform our devotional service, and so that we can advance in our spiritual life. And Srila Prabhupada actually not only presented as Krishna is explaining, but then specifically also Srila Prabhupada presented this transcendental knowledge according to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is a Kali Yuga avatar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come 537 years ago to establish the Yuga Dharma, the chanting of the holy names, the Mahamantra especially, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And by Mahaprabhu's mercy, we can more quickly advance in our spiritual life. And we can very well understand what is the goal of life. And what is the highest destination. By Mahaprabhu's mercy, we can understand Krishna in Braj, and we can understand about Krishna in Mathura or Dwarka, Krishna in Kurukshetra. That is only possible by Mahaprabhu's mercy, who has given the most complete knowledge in regards to the absolute truth, in regards to Krishna. And Krishna in Braj, and Krishna's expansions, or Krishna's manifestation in Mathura and Dwarka. Krishna and Braj and Krishna and Mathura Dwarka, they are simultaneously one and different. But that only the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they can clearly understand, they can very well understand. Otherwise, hardly anybody knows about Krishna and Braj and Krishna Mathura and Dwarka. They do not understand the difference there. The common man, they do not know that Krishna appeared simultaneously in Gokul and also in Mathura. But by the mercy of Mahaprabhu, so we have come to know very well about the small but important differences in regards to the absolute truth. And so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so specifically he came to give Braj Bhav. But Mahaprabhu as the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, no different from Krishna, Radha Krishna, ultimately he can give all knowledge. He can give all understandings. Vaikuntha Bhav, Dwarka Bhav. He can give everything. But specifically he came to give Braj Bhakti. And even there, specifically he came to give the mood of the gopis, the most exalted of Krishna's associates. And so he himself gave this knowledge specifically to his very dear and confidential associates, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Jeev Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And they wrote these transcendental literatures in pursuance of the Vedic version, in pursuance of Bhagavad Gita. For our benefit. And then after, all the great Vaishnavas, in our line especially, Narottam Das Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they gave transcendental literatures in pursuance of the teachings of the 6 Goswamis, which are the teachings of Mahaprabhu, so that we can clearly understand this subject matter and so that we can nicely advance in our spiritual life towards the ultimate goal, Braj Bhakti, worshipping Krishna with spontaneous love, following the eternal associates of Krishna in Braj. So when we have the proper understanding, and then when we are acting in the good mode of goodness as explained here, then we can advance nicely in our spiritual life. Of course, difficulties will be always there. That is part of this material world. Difficulties are there, obstacles are there. But we have to remain fixed. And we have to tolerate all the difficulties which are there. So Srila Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Purports, and the Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, so he has given the essence of the previous Acharya's teachings, of Mahaprabhu's teachings, for our benefit, so that we can advance nicely in our spiritual life. So yajña, that doesn't only refer to sacrifice, fire sacrifice, but yajña, that can mean any activity for the pleasure of the Lord. But it implies, when we say yajña, some austerity is there. And as the word says, as we say also, it's a sacrifice. Not just a sacrifice, fire sacrifice, but so the word sacrifice means one is doing something which may be not so easy to do, but one will do it nevertheless, and ultimately for the pleasure of the Lord. That is a sacrifice, and that should be done. And of course, the greatest sacrifice in the age of Kali, that is the chanting of the holy names. Sankirtan yajña. We say yajña also, Sankirtan yajña. There's no fire there. But we are chanting the holy names, Sankirtan, congregationally. And that may not always be easy. Even individually we chant japa. And that is also yajña. That is also Sankirtan, doing our japa. Samyak rupena kirtan. Fully absorbed in japa. That is a sacrifice. Nama yajña mahayajña. Kali kalmashanashanam. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prityartam. Nama yajña samarpanam. So beautiful verses are there in glorification also of the holy names. So it is a mahayajña, great yajña. And even individually we can see we are chanting the holy names, but the mind is wandering here and there. Or one is falling asleep, there's no taste. If there's no taste, it is yajña. But we do it because we know we have to do, and we know that we will advance. And we know ultimately we will get a taste. Because we have some experience, we have gotten some taste, and we know we will get more. But it will take some time. So we must have the faith, we must have the determination, we must have the patience. So it is a great sacrifice, but when we do it for the pleasure of the Lord, then we will be rewarded. Of course, we also want to come to the highest stage. We want love of Godhead, but we cannot force. So, but by our sincere efforts, when Krishna is satisfied, then He will bestow His blessings, and then we will achieve. Actually, ultimately, whatever we desire, that will be achieved. Everyone wants to be happy. Everyone wants to have some satisfaction. So that will be achieved simply by chanting the holy names. By chanting the holy names, so one will get transcendental knowledge, one will get attached to Krishna, one will become detached from this world. Everything is revealed by the chanting of the holy names. So, but in the beginning, it is a sacrifice. And in the advanced stage of chanting, one is fully absorbed, and then one can have direct perception of Krishna. One can see Krishna's wonderful qualities, Krishna's associates, and then one can taste the ras, a transcendental mellow taste in relation to Krishna. in loving exchange with Krishna. So that is actually to be attained. So by performing especially Sankirtan Yajña, Nam Yajña, Nam Sankirtan, individually and collectively also. Hare Krishna. We'll stop here. Any question? Grantra Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada